If you're looking to buy coilovers for your car, you've no doubt come across the name BC Racing. And in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know about BC Racing coilovers, the history behind them, what models they offer, and whether you should actually buy BC Racing coilovers for your car and whether they're actually any good. So BC Racing was actually founded in 1999 in Taiwan as Chan, I believe is pronounced, Enterprises Limited, with basically the purpose of creating coilovers. That's what they were doing. And they started selling their first coilover kit in 2003. I'm not actually sure why it took 4 years to get it. Maybe they're producing it or something, but basically they sold the first coilover kit in 2003. And in 2004 is when they started selling in the USA market. And from there, things quickly started growing. And by the time 2008 came along, they were winning awards for their coilovers and were already quite a popular brand, being popular in drifting and other forms of motorsport as well, because they quickly got involved in motorsport, especially drifting in the American market. And so that helped to blow them up and make them very, very popular. And so they quickly became a popular brand among different areas of the car community. So in 2010, an interesting fact is they also actually launched BC Forged, which is a forged wheel company who makes 1, 2, and 3-piece forged wheels as well. And that's a side issue to this, but that's also the same company that makes the coilovers. That's their other side company. So at some point, if you've looked into them at all, you will have seen some controversy in the earlier days of BC Racing. And that was mainly for two main reasons. So the first main reason is because they're from Taiwan and people tend to be very skeptical of anything made in a foreign country, especially in Asian countries where you have like Chinese, an example, where a lot of low quality products do come from there. Obviously a lot of good stuff too, but it's stereotypically is seen as lower quality just by default. And so that was one of the main reasons, which proved out to be not really true, and we'll go into that shortly. And another reason is because of the white label business. So what they actually do is BC Racing will actually make you a white label coilover kit with no branding on it in basically any color you want, and then you can sell that coilover kit as your brand. And they do this for a number of other brands that you see on the market as well. BC Racing actually manufacture the coilovers for them. Now the problem with that is obviously a lot of people don't like that, because then you get a lot of brands selling products with no information on those products and nobody knows what the product actually is, especially when it comes to something like suspension, where that kind of thing is important. And so people didn't really like that aspect of it either. And those are really the two main parts where all the controversy came from. And basically most of them were unfounded and they didn't actually turn into anything, but people being people got upset about it. However, they actually turned out to be a pretty decent brand, and we'll go into that here. So it actually happened that they are actually decent coilovers, and in the last now over 20 years, they've proven to be very good as an entry-level option if you're looking for coilovers for your car. And they make a very, very wide range of coilovers. So basically that was the history behind BC Racing coilovers. That's really all there is to know that you really need to know. It's just to see where they're coming from, what they are. They're very popular now, and they're very involved in a lot of motorsports in America and worldwide as well. So now I'm going to go into the different series of coilovers that they actually offer so that you know which ones to select. Now I'm just going to briefly go over those here. I'm not going to go into detail. I'm going to make another video going into detail of every model and comparing them all. But basically I'm just going to summarize them here so you know what you're looking at, and just to give you an overview of BC Racing as a whole. So the most popular by far is the BR series, which is a street kit primarily with one-way linear monotube dampers. That's the main thing with them. And they're basically the entry-level kit. If you're looking for a kit for like your street car daily driver that might do occasional track days, the BC Racing BR series is the one to go for and what most people go for. Then the next one you have is the DS series, which are basically the entry-level digressive. So I'm just going to put entry-level aggressive one-ways. All BC Racing coilovers are monotube, so I'm not going to write that on every single one of them, but basically the DS are an entry-level track kit which have digressive valving. So digressive valving is stereotypically used for track kits because it's a little bit more responsive. I'm going to put a link above to a video that talks about the difference between linear and digressive if you're interested. But basically if you're looking for a more responsive entry-level track kit, the DS series is the one to go for. Otherwise they're basically the same as the BR except for the valving in the dampers. Then Then the next one you have is the RM series, which are the one-way inverted dampers. So they're one-ways with inverted linear dampers. So inverted dampers are another thing that's basically used for motorsport. It makes the strut more rigid. These are only available for McPherson strut cars. Just be aware, inverted dampers are not used on double AR and suspension cars. But basically, with the inverted dampers, it makes the strut more rigid, so it prevents deflection and potential bending under heavy loads, so things like track racing, rally, things like that. And it also moves some of the weight from unsprung weight to sprung weight on the chassis, as well as moves some of the oil away from the brakes, which are heat source and tend to make damper fade and things like that. If you want to know more about the benefits of inverted dampers, I will put a link above and in the description below. I have a whole video on that you can watch as well. But basically the RM series are the entry-level inverted dampers with one-way dampening adjustment. Then the next ones you have are ER, which are just the two ways. So basically 2 ways, linear, upright. Nothing too special about that. Just if you want two-way dampening adjustment, like basically a two-way version of the BR series, that's the ER series. It'll just give you the compression and rebound independent adjustment instead of together like the BR series and all the one ways. And so that way you can fine tune your suspension a little bit more. After that, you've got the HMs, which are 2 ways with inverted dampers. These are also linear as well. So basically, if you want this, but you're going to be doing more track use and you want to have the inverted dampers for a McPherson strut car, that's the only ones these are made for, then you would go for the HM series. And then lastly, you have the ZR series, which are like the ultimate track spec coilover. These are 3-way independently adjustable with inverted dampers on monotube cars and linear valving. So they're basically, if you're building a track car, you need 3-way dampening adjustment, inverted dampers, the whole lot. The AZR series are basically it. They only make them for a relatively small selection of cars, which are the more popular track cars or cars used for track. Otherwise, that's it. So these are the 6 options that they currently offer in their lineup, and it basically goes from street to track depending on how much customization and options you need. Now, there's some more things you should know about BC Racing coilovers. So there's quite a few things that make BC Racing coilovers popular overall, and it's the fact that 1, they're customizable. All of them are, from the BR all the way to the ZR, meaning that you can specify spring rates that you want for all of your kits, and they will also supply you dampers that match those spring rates as well. And then there's other options you can do as well. For instance, extreme low, I'm just going to add that as well. You can get extreme low for most of their kits, especially the BR series. So if you want to go super low, up to 5 inches, I believe, or it might be 4 inches in total lowering, that you get this extreme low kit, and then you can go a lot lower than the standard kit will allow. The standard kit goes 1 to 2 inches, typically speaking. And then they also are rebuildable. So you can rebuild all of their coilovers, and you can buy the parts to actually do so. So they're relatively easy to get the parts for BC Racing. And then you can service and rebuild the coilovers so that you don't have to replace the whole kit if the dampers need rebuilding. Another big thing is Swift springs. You can upgrade all of the coilovers that they sell to have Swift springs, and I'm going to make a video about Swift springs as well. So if you want to go watch that, the link will be above in the description below, explaining the benefits of Swift springs. Also, one thing to note is that the HM and ZR series come with Swift springs as standard. So you actually get them with those. With the BR series and all the ones below HM, you can specify Swift springs. They're about $300, I think $320, something like that, to upgrade to Swift springs all around in the entire kit. And then that makes for a more comfortable and more responsive drive as well. So those are the benefits of the BC Racing coilovers. And basically, to summarize, they're a very good value for money. They're decent quality. And basically, they're an excellent entry-level option. I mean, BC Racing have been around for over 20 years now, actually, almost 25 years. And they've basically established themselves at this point as a decent entry-level option coilover. If you don't have the money to spend on something more serious like a Fortune Auto, or let's say Olin's or something like that, BC Racing coilovers, especially the BR series, which are around $1,195 for most of them, they are actually a very good price option that has by this point proven to be reliable, will handle some track use, and is also good for the street as well. Specifically talking about the BR series. And then as you go higher up, you obviously get the options we spoke about earlier. But overall, if you're looking for a relatively entry-level coilover kit that's actually very competitively priced, is customizable, has all these options, and basically gives you pretty much everything you need from a coilover kit, honestly, unless you need some specific options, BC Racing coilovers are actually a good choice, and I do recommend them. And if you are looking to get BC Racing coilovers, we actually have the entire range on our website, nefariousracing.com. And the reason we stock them is because I do believe that they are actually very good coilovers. Otherwise, we wouldn't even sell them. So if you want to go and get some, go check them out. Go to the website, nefariousracing.com. If you're not sure which coilovers you need for your car or whether BC Racing or another brand is actually what you need, shoot us an email through the website and we'll help you actually select the right coilovers for your car depending on your budget and your needs and requirements, etc. We have a bunch of brands on there as well. Fortune Auto, we're getting Reaction and a few others on there as well. So we can recommend a kit that is suited to your budget and needs. So hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Otherwise, catch you on the next one.